The scent of burnt oil and welding fumes. That's what my life smells like, 12 hours a day at the shop. I pulled my beat-up Ford F-150 into the driveway of my new place in Sterling Heights, totally wiped, but with one thought: seeing her. I hit the remote for the garage door and it groaned open like an old beast waking up, revealing the chrome that was my salvation, my 1969 Pontiac GTO Judge. The one I spent 2 years dragging out of a swamp of rust and turning into absolute perfection. That's when the world just stopped. Before the door was even halfway up, I heard the shrieking, this high-pitched manic sound cutting through the quiet suburban evening. "Thief, someone call 911, he's stealing my car." Eleanor Vance, the HOA president, came tearing across her lawn. I mean, charging like a linebacker in a silk pantsuit, cell phone already glued to her ear. Yes, there is a large man, a black man, stealing my newly purchased classic car right now. Send every unit you have. She didn't even look at me. She didn't need to. The sirens were already coming, wailing in the distance. She'd made the call before I'd even stepped out of my truck. I'm standing there, keys in hand, looking at my GTO in my own damn garage, about to be arrested for grand theft auto. What do you do when the power of an HOA and, frankly, some deep-seated assumptions, gets weaponized against you in your own driveway? Drop a hammer emoji if you've ever had to deal with a neighbor like that. My name is Elijah Eli Royce. I'm a fourth-generation master mechanic. My family has been spinning wrenches in Midwest City for 80 years. When my ex-wife decided my passion for grease wasn't quite as glamorous as her new lifestyle, I took the little I had and bought a modest townhome here in Sterling Heights. I was promised quiet, middle-class serenity, where everyone just tended their perfect hedges and left you alone. Yeah, right. The GTO, I called her the Widowmaker, wasn't a midlife crisis. She was a project, a broken $4,000 shell I found at an auction. But under the decay, I saw American history, pure muscle waiting to roar. Every weekend for 2 years was a meditation. New engine, custom paint, carousel red so bright it could signal satellites, and a 3-inch binder full of receipts, photos, and insurance docs thicker than a Bible. Documentation beats desperation, my dad always said. Enter Eleanor Vance. She drove a pristine Lexus, had the kind of unnaturally perfect platinum hair that implied a high-maintenance budget, and was the queen of the HOA. Her specialty? Weaponizing the covenant rules. My mailbox font was non-compliant, my trash can was visible from space, my impact wrench was industrial noise past 6 p.m. Just recently she'd marched over, ruler in hand, claiming my driveway oil stain, a single drop of brake fluid, was an environmental hazard. She used words like upstanding residents and property values like they were legal weapons. This whole meltdown started because Eleanor, a real estate agent with too much time and money, had bragged at her Saturday mimosa brunch about buying a matching 1969 Carousel red GTO Judge from a dealer in Florida for $65,000. She was showing off photos, stock images, basically claiming credit for the internal combustion engine. Later that day, I took my Widowmaker out for a fluid check. That 400 cubic inch engine rumble. It's a physical thing, deep and gorgeous. When I returned, Eleanor was standing there, statuesque in her rage, staring at my car like a predator. I nodded a quiet, polite greeting. She didn't respond. She just watched. I know now she spent that night building her delusion, brick by digital brick, convincing herself I'd somehow stolen her imaginary purchase. And now 2 patrol cars were screeching into my driveway. 4 officers. They arrived like they were storming a fortress. Officer Chen, seasoned and patient, approached me first. "Evening, sir. We received a report of a stolen vehicle." The sheer absurdity hit me like a bad joke. Stolen, officer? This is my car in my garage at my house. That's like saying I stole my own refrigerator. Eleanor, the suburban poltergeist, materialized beside them. "That's him, the car thief. I just wired $65,000 yesterday." I took a deep breath. "Officers, I can prove ownership right now." I pulled out my phone and showed Chen the photo album. Rust bucket, rolling chassis, Me installing the engine, stitching the interior. His eyebrows went up. That's serious work, sir. You did all this? Meanwhile, Eleanor was having a public meltdown, shoving dealership printouts into the other officer's face. Look at these. The dealer is shipping it next week. He must have cloned the sow. Vin? I calmly walked into my garage and retrieved the 3-ring binder. I handed Chen the title, the DMV registration, and the Progressive insurance policy with my name, my address, and the matching VIN. Then, the nuclear option, the original handwritten bill of sale from the estate auction. Chen examined the fragile paper like it was buried treasure. Ma'am, he said, turning to Eleanor, his voice dropping to that serious legal register cops reserve for people about to get into trouble. This gentleman has a clear chain of documentation spanning 2 years. Filing a false police report is misdemeanor, and I've seen people go to jail for this. The color drained from her platinum-coiffed face. This wasn't over, but round 1 was definitively mine. The war officially escalated the next business day. I found an official HOA violation notice in my mailbox, tucked in like a venomous snake. Unauthorized commercial vehicle storage. My perfectly ordinary work van with Royce & Sons Auto modestly painted on the side was apparently a crime against property values. $200 fine. Deadline, 48 hours. I watched Eleanor jog past my house, giving the van the kind of look reserved for something. Parked on her grandmother's grave. I counted 17 passes. But here's the thing about HOA contracts. My divorce lawyer taught me. They are legal, and they have paper trails. I spent my lunch break at the county records office. The van was purchased before the no commercial vehicles rule was enacted. Any vehicle owned prior is legally grandfathered. Eleanor had zero authority. I drafted a response so legally airtight it could survive a nuclear blast, attached the proof, and hand-delivered it to the management office. The receptionist just whispered, "Oh dear, Mrs. Vance is not going to like this development." Eleanor's counterattack was pure carpet bombing, more citations, excessive automotive odors. The honest smell of WD-40 offended her. Noise violations during legal hours, phantom oil stains. That's when I invested in my defense. 4 high-definition security cameras recording everything to the cloud. The footage immediately showed her new hobby, property line surveillance, pacing our shared fence with a yardstick, documenting my existence. Then came the emergency board meeting. 3 middle-aged women, Eleanor, her nervous lieutenant Lila, and the enthusiastic nodder Janet, sat like a kangaroo court. Eleanor announced an emergency ban on all automotive repair. I pulled out my copy of the HOA bylaws, which I'd practically memorized. Fascinating theory, Eleanor. But Section 4.3 requires 7 days' notice for voting, and Section 4.7 mandates a quorum of 5 board members for an official vote. I count 3. This meeting has the legal authority of a neighborhood book club. Her composure fractured like safety glass. You think you're so smart, coming into our neighborhood with your activities. The venom in her voice was thick. I stuck to the facts. I think I'm a homeowner who reads contracts before signing them. Novel concept, I know. That night, my neighbor Travis, a retired professor, came over. Most of us think she's completely lost it, Eli. We need to talk. The game changed when I went to the county courthouse basement, digging through the HOA's public corporate filings. What I found wasn't just dirt. It was a criminal enterprise. $78,000 funneled from HOA dues into shell companies that all traced back to her house. Vance Property Solutions, Eleanor's Gardens, Inc. Our HOA queen was systematically looting the community fund, a suburban Pablo Escobar. But the true terror was the pattern. She'd harass vulnerable neighbors, the Patels for culturally inappropriate cooking odors, the Hendersons for their kids' basketball hoop, until they sold their houses below market value. Then she'd use her real estate license to facilitate a quick sale to her investor contacts, doubling her commission. I was the perfect isolated target for a forced sale. The nuclear revelation? Eleanor's own house was in foreclosure for $23,000 in unpaid dues. She wasn't just greedy. She was a cornered animal facing financial ruin, and the GTO incident had accelerated her timeline. I immediately called Travis. "You sitting down? Because I just found 100,000 reasons why Eleanor wants me gone." Operation Takedown. Karen began in Travis's garage. Our coalition: Travis, Sarah, a forensic accountant, Mike, a semi-retired corporate lawyer, and Carlos, a contractor, organized the evidence. Mike, scanning the fraud docs, looked like a shark smelling blood. This is a prosecutor's dream, Eli. Embezzlement, harassment, false police reports. She's looking at a felony buffet. The final pathetic act of desperation. My camera caught Eleanor, dressed like a clumsy suburban ninja, breaking into the HOA management office. She was frantically feeding documents into an industrial shredder, like she was making the world's most expensive confetti. The silent alarm triggered. Officer Chen found her elbow deep in shredded paper. She was cuffed and read her rights, screaming, "They're destroying everything I built. This community was perfect before they came." The sentencing hearing was packed. My heart was hammering. I spoke first, my voice steady. "Your Honor, this case started with a woman calling 911 because I opened my own garage door. But it was never about the car. It was about power, control, and using the law to terrorize neighbors." Judge Hernandez was not amused by Eleanor's tearful performance. "Ms. Vance, you systematically abused your position, targeted a minority, homeowner with false police reports that could have resulted in tragedy, and stole from your neighbors. 4 years in state prison, full restitution of $112,000. The gavel came down like thunder, and the courtroom erupted. That sound. It wasn't just applause. It was the sound of the universe correcting itself. 6 months later, Sterling Heights doesn't smell like fear anymore. It smells like neighbor-to-neighbor cooperation. Travis is the new HOA president. My GTO is a local legend, the car that beat the HOA, and the restitution payments are funding the Sterling Auto Tech Scholarship. I've been dating Sarah, the forensic accountant. Turns out mechanics and accountants have a lot in common when they both believe in clean books and perfectly torqued bolts. Sometimes the bully just picks the wrong victim. I didn't set out to start a revolution. I just wanted to fix my car. But I learned that the American dream isn't just about individual success. It's about neighbors protecting neighbors. Call to action. If you're dealing with an HOA tyrant, document everything. Build community. Truth wins. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever had a neighbor weaponize the system against you? What's the most insane HOA rule you've ever seen? Drop your story in the comments below and hit that subscribe button, so we can keep proving that justice still works when ordinary people refuse to back down.